The secret to feeling it before you can have it. Okay, my friends, you know what is the wall. You practice the wall of assumption. You know that the feeling is the secret. But sometimes it gets challenging. Sometimes when you're trying to appropriate to focus on the state desired, you find yourself that you're actually experiencing the contradictory state to your desire. So in this video, my intention is to share with you why this happens, what is the reason, what is the purpose behind experiencing what we don't want when we are trying to appropriate the state of our desire already being fulfilled. Because it's an interesting dynamic I have noticed for myself and for clients I work with, and it happens all the times. It's actually the secret behind practicing the wall of assumption, the secret to feel it before you can have it. That being the case, let's directly get into the video. So, first of all, I want to read you one quote from Neville that generally I believe it's like it deserves to be contemplated. If I were you, I would probably take at least an hour to contemplate this, like not at once, but at different portions. You can come back to this quote and contemplate it because it's really deep. So here is what Neville states: man is incapable of passing from one state of consciousness into another unless he releases from consciousness that which he now entertains, for it anchors him where he is. So I found this to be the case many times over and over again when I'm trying to appropriate a state of what I want to experience. Because ultimately, there is nobody but ourselves who make the choice, and reality is complete, meaning that we can just get into a state of presence awareness, unconditioned presence awareness, awareness of being, and from there focus our awareness on what we want. But if it doesn't work, now the reason it doesn't work is because unconsciously you are identified with the contradictory state of what you want. And so what I've discovered is that anytime I want to appropriate the state of my desire, like I do it, I start feeling it, I start aligning to it, it starts resonating in my body, my emotional state elevates a little, and then there is a resistance that gets triggered. And so my mind automatically focuses on the contradictory state, on some limiting belief that came up or something like that. And let me give you an example actually with one of my clients who is currently in the process of completely, absolutely letting go of any toxic, manipulative, and codependent relationships. And she has that vision, and she's currently connecting to her boundaries and expressing her needs and boundaries clearly and transparently with others. This is something that I help my clients with, to align, to surround themselves only with people who support and lift them up. And so she's doing some of the practices that I suggested to her, but she finds herself in a place in which this thought comes up in her mind that, I don't want to leave them behind. I'm afraid that I'm leaving them behind. I'm leaving my parents who aren't really respectful of my new values behind. I'm leaving some of the friends I had who aren't respectful of my new values behind. And so this thought comes to her mind. This is a belief that she is working with. And this belief comes in response to her appropriating the state of consciousness in which she's only surrounded by supportive and uplifting relationships. And this is exactly how it works. And so now the reason this is coming, this contradictory state is coming, is for you to understand why you are still attached to it. No matter what is it, because it's the same for me. Like, for example, I'm currently assuming the state of this channel growing like tremendously, getting to 10,000 subscribers in the next couple of months. And so whenever I focus on that state and try to imagine it, the same thing happens. My mind instantly lets me become aware of all the limiting beliefs I have that are contradictory to the state I desire. And so here is something interesting. Here is another thing you can understand by Neville Goddard, that if you did, would make this process so much easier. It is to our own consciousness that we must turn as to the only reality, the foundation on which all phenomena can be explained. Meaning, if you want to appropriate the state of your desire already being fulfilled and you want to play with it in imagination, you want to let it run its course, you want to let it overwhelm your consciousness, you want to let it expand inside of your body, inside of your mind, so that you can feel it with the whole of your being. But it doesn't work. And so you find yourself focusing and fighting with your limiting beliefs, with the contradictory states of consciousness. Now, when this happens, it becomes your responsibility, my friend, to look within and ask yourself, why is this here? Why is this thought here? Obviously, part of me is still attached to it. Obviously, it must serve me somehow. If it's coming up in awareness, and if it's coming in the moment, I'm appropriating the state of my desire. So if this limiting belief is coming up in response to my intention, this means that I am not fully certain of my intention to embody the state of my desire. So why is this coming up? What can it teach me? And then you start to investigate it. Then you go within that negative state initially, that it feels negative, and try to see why it's there. Because maybe, just maybe, it's coming to help you support you into appropriating the state of your desire, but you wouldn't know how unless you are able to investigate it first. So it's like you need to understand what is the payoff. Here is the practical part now. When the contradictory state appears into consciousness in response to you assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, now you need to understand what is the payoff that your ego is getting out of this state. So in the example I gave with my client, for example, I feel I'm leaving them behind. I don't want that to happen. Why? Why do I believe that, for example? And so maybe by questioning it, you might find something like, well, if I'm leaving close people behind, then this means I'm a bad person, and I don't want to be a bad person. Okay, now here is one of the payoffs. I want to prove to myself that I'm a good person, but am I a bad person by taking care of me first? So why would I still believe that I'm leaving them behind? And then this process of asking the question why, and then why, you ask it again to the answer you receive, and then you ask it again to the next answer you receive, will help you to understand why you're still being attached to the contradictory state of what you want. Because again, ultimately, you have all the freedom of choice to appropriate the state of your desire. And now, if a contradictory state is coming, it is to your own consciousness that you should turn to, because it's the only reality. And it's the foundation on which all phenomena can be explained, meaning that the phenomena of the contradictory state appearing in consciousness can be explained by your own consciousness, which is the only reality. So it's like asking yourself the question, why? Again and again and again, until you get the appropriate answer. And the appropriate answer will get you in a state of surrender, in which all this energy that you are resisting behind the limiting belief, all this Y force energy that was supporting the limiting belief, now you can release it. And so it gets channeled into appropriating the state of your desire. And this is, my friend, is how practically you can feel it until you can have it. You have to feel it until you can have it. But you feel it by playing with both the state of what you desire and releasing the state of what you don't desire, which is still in consciousness, meaning that if it's there, it serves you somehow. So you need to understand how it serves you and to release it so that you can appropriate the state of your desire being fulfilled. Does it make sense? Does this bring some clarity to the process? Because I know how abstract can be Neville Goddard's teachings sometimes, and that's why contemplating on some of them is beneficial. Like repeating the same information to yourself is beneficial. And so, again, if we were to fully accept the fact that we have the freedom to choose how we want to feel and what we want to create in our life, this means that it becomes our responsibility to take responsibility for all the contradictory feelings that we have. Because who else would we give that power to? The outside world? No, it's just a reflection of your inside world. meaning that you need to understand why you are still holding on to the contradictory states. Don't fight it, my friend. Don't try to fight it. It's like, until you can just let it pass without being attached to it, if you try to fight it, you're actually perpetuating it in the consciousness. And if it's the contradictory state to your desire, you're not making yourself a service. So ultimately, you could ignore it. But if you're not able to, if you can't just ignore it, if you find that your mind is constantly coming back to that thought, to that limiting belief, then it means that there is something for you to learn from it, so that you can release that energy and then it gets channeled to the state you are appropriating. This, my friend, is how it looks in practice. So I really trust that you found this video to be helpful. If this is the case, like it, comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you are new to it. And now I would also suggest you check out you actually try this practice in which you can experience a guided meditation that lets you drop into the state of your desire already being fulfilled, so that you can start living from that desire from the inside out, meaning also that you become able to live in the end. So you can check out this meditation, you can try it. It's such a beautiful process, and I'm sure it will get you to the end state of your desire already being fulfilled. So check it out here, and I would love to see you around in the channel. Thank you again so much for watching. I love you, my friend. See you in the next video. Bye bye.